So, weiter geht's mit Disco Elysium. Okay. So, letztes Mal haben wir uns umgebracht. Und ja, mal gucken. Ja. So, okay, was machen wir jetzt?
Yes?
Now that we've inspected the scene, I want to know more about the pissing competition you mentioned. Which did I say it's just stupidity? What kind of stupidity? The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the industrial harbor. Yours or mine, if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the Union make a mockery of law enforcement here, and now it's come to its natural conclusion. So there's a struggle over who runs Martinez. Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th. I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But he leans in. I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest. With 102 cases solved, what I am is least interested in a pissing competition. So he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary. So you volunteered to spoil it? Yes, I'm an unrepentant spoilsport. The lieutenant appears pleased with this. So what's special about Martinez? Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drainpipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist. A tremble comes over you, another after effect of ethanol poisoning, perhaps. Feels like leaves do when they rustle in the breeze somewhere far away. Below the turbine, the 41st and the 57th. The lieutenant was right. It's not about who gets what's north, it's about who doesn't. I wonder what this says about me, that I was sent by my station. Huh, he raises an eyebrow, thinking it best to let you make the next move. Don't be scared, but I think I might have supernatural abilities. He opens one hand and looks at it. A moment passes. Which school do you subscribe to, Mambo? Or he opens the other hand. Or Jumbo. Wait, which one is the one where you hear your Thai talk to you? Mental illness. Because I have that. So the 41st precinct sent you because you are the most mentally ill out of all the officers at your station? I don't know, I don't remember any of the other officers. Of course. Sounds like you just answered his question. Okay, enough of the competition then. Tell me something else. Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it. He's actually glad it's addressed now. Oof. Why did the 41st send me because you're the best qualified? No, that doesn't seem right. Dumb brain, I'm good for nothing. You look dumb if you keep the lieutenant waiting for too long. Okay. Oh, so viel Zeug. Was haben wir denn? Karaoke. Lena encouraged you to ask others, explain the world to you in greater detail. Perhaps try a rich person. Rich people are educated. Ah, stimmt. Da war ja die eine komische Frau da, ne? Beim Boot-Ding. Der haben wir, glaube ich, noch nicht gesprochen. Oh. The book appears to be erotica, but without actual erotica. Langweilig. Looks like there was more construction here once, decades ago. Striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good morning, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
She steps close and holds out her hand over the railing. Shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold. Like steel. There's strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
Na, endlich jemand, der hilft.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
Yeah. It happens quicker than a shooting star, but did the lieutenant just wink at you?
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful. You're on a boat. Why, yes I am. She looks at the deck under her feet. Green and white sails flutter overhead. Do you have a license for this boat? Officer, I assure you, I am a highly qualified pleasure craft operator. The crowns on her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Porzellan. Da hat jemand Geld. Does she have a name? The boat? No. It is called Cordelette 19. Because it's the type of sloop it is. The word it feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below the sleek fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Below the sleek fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone. Oh. Cool, but your boat really needs a name. Okay, how about Cordelette 19? Why? She taps on the side of the boat. It makes a hollow sound. Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelette. And its hull is... is this in feet? It's 19 paces long. How about Dolores? Why Dolores? After her innocence, Dolores Day. I'm not really big on moralist symbols. I think I'll stick with the factory name, but thank you. But, okay, but what kind of boat is it? It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. How do you like it? My sloop? I like it a lot. Her lips curl into a wry smile. It's the eel's hips, baby. I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating. I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her. Not a lot of people on boats, are there? Of course there are. She looks around. We are on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? There's a pinch of defensiveness in her voice, but it is playful. Well, we are on an archipelago? Yes, we are. She raises a brow. We are on Le Caillou. Caillou? I thought we were in Revachol. We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. Still, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kinema motor carriage either. Actually, the lieutenant becomes defensive. That motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy. Neither is this. The woman pats the cabin hard top. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands. I think I have a handle on the boat thing. Good. She takes a sip of her thermal cup. You seem smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in. This reality? She pulls her hood closer around her neck. I got so drunk I forgot literally everything. What? She chortles, nearly spilling her tea. Ah, Superstar oder Supernatural. Nee, wir bleiben Superstar. I woke up in a trashed hotel room, superstar style. Before that, everything's a blank. Such an acute encephalopathy just doesn't seem possible. She puts a beverage down and stares at you. Surely you're choking. Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality. We may be here a while then. She takes a long sip to clear her throat. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can. Alright, you're in. Begin with the first one. You'll appear worldly. Where are we? We're in Martinez, baby. Baby? A casual term of endearment popular among the 50+ crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed. I'm a disco holdover myself. Ha! She smiles, aren't we all? And what is Martinez? Martinez is a district of Revachol. She looks around, her green raincoat flapping in the wind. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbor, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten even. Shelled to smithereens during the revolution. She shrugs. It has its charms, just not this time of year. Tell me more about Martinez. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. She closes her eyes. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. A brief spike of longing in her upright body. She dots under her eyelids. The dots under her eyelids shake. Ooh. She opens them. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort, before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. You were here as a teenager? Yes, I was slumming it with some girlfriends of mine. We had boats and... She smiles. Don't hold it against me, the boys certainly did not. There's a spark in the air, a live wire hanging in the wind, in your hungover neocortex, then the sea air cools it down. You mentioned a sea. What sea is this? It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol, and the bay feeds into the ocean. Are we near the ocean? Yes. We are on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water, the Insulindic. Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight. What's the name of this island? Caillou, as you already know. She looks to the water. Imagine a pebble, a smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea. Misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary. It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her. Okay, that's Martinez. What's Revachol then? What's Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city. What kind of city is Revachol? The great kind. As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism. A fact. What makes Revachol great? History, detective. They built the city to resolve history, our part in it, at least our centuries. Okay, who built the city? The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ilmara, depending on your creed. When was Revachol built? in the DeLorean century, 380 years ago. And why will it resolve history? They say it is... They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered, the tensions are highest, and fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts, ideological conflicts, the stuff of men. Why here? We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island, able to sustain up to 200 million people. In the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. She smiles. It's where the money is. So we're pretty much at the center of the world. Oh, we're quite a way off. About... She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise. A sparkle of lights on the horizon, like morning stars above the curvature of the planet. 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the Bank of the World building. The bottom floors are Insurcom, Coalition Government, Insulindian Mission Command. Look to the sea. Silence. She lowers her hand. The water and the light, it's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There's no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it. I don't know any of this. Derealization. We are where we are. I have no true answer to give, unfortunately. She watches you closely as you scan the horizon. This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you? Okay. Okay, dann machen wir halt das. Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown. And this has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask. Turns to you, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Madame Monsieur will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't it true, ma'am? Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term. But won't I be lazy if I don't do it all now? Of course not. He shakes his head. You're already diligent for getting this far, and diligent boys remember where they left off. Indeed, I'm always at your service. What times are these? These are unimportant times, detective. She puts her finger to her lips, then points at you. You and I were born after the dust had settled, 1,000th of a second too late. Too late for what? For the big time. Her eyes light up, there's a flash of teeth. What's the big time? The revolution, she says. And what is this revolution I keep hearing about? It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next. who gets shot in the head and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Who got shot in the head? Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well one forgets they even existed. That the communists and the anarchists shoot back? Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people. It's a tragedy. Yes, the Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it. I had a deluge too, in my head. Yes, an acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. She blinks her green eyes. Exacerbated means made worse. Anyone else got shot in the head on the opposing side? Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. She shakes her head. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king, just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Graz. Cowardly king. I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive and his nephew Frizzle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. Who got the mineral rights? The liberals got the mineral rights. She looks up to the sky, then inland at the crumbling city. And by mineral rights I mean everything. Okay, and by liberals you mean... Liberals are usually middle-class people, detective, or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. The fared well. How did the liberals win at all? They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember? If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to? The foreign intervention, the coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. Why, you just said the liberals already took everything. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. She stomps her rubber-booted foot. The ocean, the laws, and the people. Who are the coalition? The coalition of nations. Graz, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Braille, and Sulaclef. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do. There's bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She's critical, but ultimately understands the cause. Moralist? The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights and not shooting people in the head. Matt, wären das doch nicht eigentlich hier Dings wie heißen die? Irgendwas K oder C-mäßig. Glaube ich. Fällt mir gar nicht ein. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol, now the coalition government. This is their special administrative region. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. If always picking the option that doesn't commit to anything, then hell yes I am. And also not. An almost endearingly moralist standpoint. She bows. It must be hard to take a moderate approach to head shooting in your line of work. When was this kerfuffle? The turn of the century revolution. She smiles mysteriously. Don't answer it, it's a tricky question. The revolution began in 02 on the Grad Isola, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. Who started it? It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Tsarath, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Maslov came along and overthrew the government. Oh. What did this Tsarath do? It made people overthrow their governments. Well, really? Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. Where did it spread from there? From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in 08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. What came next? Why, you and I, officer. She spreads her arms, raincoat flapping in the wind. Our lives in the special administrative region. Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie, a pair of pants. Our lives are very different from each other. No doubt, but we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you'd think. What is the special administrative region? A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia. The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of a appropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage. The Special Administrative Region is the third incarnation Revachol. After the failure of the Suzerain and the Commune. What happened in the rest of the world? Modernity. They developed the marvels of inter-isolary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade. It's been like this for how long exactly? 43 years. Hard to fathom, I know. What have we been doing all that time? The 20s saw a decade of urban war. West of the river leveled offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before 08 to 19. Was simply hell. And after that, the 30s. Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. Were they? No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash. An isle-wide hangover, you might say, and here we are. She curtsies. Welcome to reality, baby. Yeah, neue Punkt. Unlock. Confirm. Das weitermachen. From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the Special Administrative Region. You can see it in her eyes, days slipping away. You don't seem to be thrilled. I've no right to be dissatisfied. She shakes her head. This shirt is Barbara Muskova. This raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just... She looks at the crumbling tenements, paint flecking from the stone. Her voice is almost wistful. We could have had so much more, every one of us, if only we'd played it right. What would you have done differently? Good question. She cranes her neck. What would you have done differently? I would have sought a medical solution. Sounds like Zarath drove those people mad. A cold creeps up your spine, reaching its tendrils up your neck toward the back of your head. So a quarter of humanity, she calculates, simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlive with the technology 50 years ago? Okay. With some hygiene, modest social care, and perhaps a little research program. The wind stops, and for a moment there's silence. The charge dissipates into the dark water. All is quiet on the Martinez Inlet. A dog barks. A gunshot echoes off the walls of some distant building. A woman's voice. There is peace in the heart. Good hygiene, really. A very moderate solution to an extreme problem. It's those sort of half measures that doomed the authorities in Grad. When they failed to step up, Mazov and the party stepped in. In this particular case, Maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate. The lieutenant puts down his notes for a moment. Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM. She turns to him. And what is your official position, Lieutenant? There's curiosity there, and that goes unnoticed. Kim takes a step back, absent-mindedly. My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir. Understandable. She nods. That's enough about the times. They are what they are. Who knows, an afterbloom may yet come. Anything else? What is this acute encephalopathy? It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out. She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective. What causes encephalopathy? Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use. It's definitely drinking. She nods slowly. Yes, and perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie out in the open somewhere. I want to know what you are. She hums. She won't maneuver her way out of this one. What are you? I am the vilest of the vile, she says with a sudden flash of teeth. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra. She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine. Cool. I liberate pretty hard myself. No, she shakes her head slowly. Not like me. I'm the neither creature of the forbidden swamp who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. Are you liberated enough to offer up your home on a plate for financial colonists? She looks you in the eye. No, I think not. Tell me. Now that I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening? In her green eyes is a mixture of truth and self-satire, decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes. I forgive you, but only because you're charming. Do you? She pronounces. Who, being of great charm and guile, sneaketh into the homes of the godly. Beneath a waterproof raincoat and silk shirt is a body imbibed in numb 12 perfume. You're suddenly and intimately aware of it. What the fuck? Steal, kill, and destroy? She counters, quick as a whip. That they say we've been doing for over 4 decades now. Perhaps, regrettably, I've had my fill for this century. The lieutenant hums, reading his notes. In any case, I'm glad we can remain collegial, despite my scaly bulk. and my perverse need to infiltrate and betray both kingdom and revolution. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. She turns her gaze to the Delta. This was all our last generation managed. Would you have done something differently? With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficiency of its artillery. While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in a rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean. Lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracts. I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Marie or Delta beachheads either. If not for my own sake. She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them. Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it. Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes, an oil fire on the ocean. You're a smart woman. Perhaps. Her earrings chime as she nods. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing. You're a patriot? Yes, I suppose I am, but I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here. Seditious talk, ma'am. Kim puts down his notes and gives her a look. You have daughters? Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Ah. She closes her eyes, then opens them again. Now, shall we return to reality? What is this? Spread your hands. A bird? She tilts her head. Sven, is it a flightless bird of the polar regions? Keep guessing. Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. Joyce raises her eyebrows. You're an ancient ruin, a symbol of hubris and decay, half submerged in some salty sea. What, really? Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. I meant, what is this place really here? Ah, she spreads her arms almost as wide. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. She looks around. What is Rue de Ghislain 33A? A pretty revolutionary tenement. Only old buildings are called tenements, you see, and new buildings bâtiments after les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. She looks up at the crumbling facade. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Who lived in them? Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons looped 4 or 5 stories off. Lopped. Splat, splat! From a dilapidated balcony, Cindy the Skull gives Joyce the evil eye, a red paintbrush held to her throat. You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she is running the brush across her throat in a sawing motion. Wonderful. What is that? The girl in the old lady rags. Yes. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Infraculture? Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We are common, the herd, the music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant. Those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world and infraculture, with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There's no refuge from the supraculture. I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. What's next? What is... Think of something close to you. Ah! It remains a mystery. What is... Reach for something fundamental. Strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway. The sloop slowly, that's all. The doubt is fully formed in your head. The alien feeling persists. You just can't word the question yet. You have to complete the jamais vu thought first. Okay. Oh. Do you know something about these tattoos? That's a man who was killed. She almost takes a photo, but then stops. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Okay. Why? How is you looking at the photo tied to the lynching? Better not to tie the forestay to the backstay. On this, I hope there's something else I can help you with. She wants to answer the question, protocol keeps her from it. Okay. Tell me about Wild Pines, what do you do? What we do, I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole, it's a giant undertaking. So what do they do? The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. She points to the small dots on the horizon. See those airships there blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. Then to the east toward the harbor, and that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with the energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. She enjoys talking about the company. It would not hurt to inquire more. How much money does Wild Pines have? I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. A billion? What exactly is a billion? It's a number, officer, a big one. What is it made of? It's made of 1,000 millions. A million is made of 1,000 thousands. Wow. Whoa, what? What? Plutch. 20 billion is a large number, but the conglomerate employs 72,000 people. They all need to be paid. Then there are capital improvements, interests, payments. A wave hits the sloop. She grasps the mainstay for balance. Das war das Geräusch. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving, it will die. then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It's a tremendous responsibility. Where does Wild Pines get all these billions? They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between these Samaran and Insulindian isolars 250 years ago, when Pines' ships explored the South Simonis and charted Lo Mantang on behalf of the Syrian. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. What does such a huge system want with a place like this? You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners? She gives you a little smile. Who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? You don't keep it moving, the workers do. The company's nothing without them. We built this district, she says calmly. All the best parts of it, Rue de Saint-Ghislain with its bastions, the plazas, Meteoran, Mosaic. Even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to investments from the WP. She points behind you where the seawall rises. Before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbor, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for its Revacholian employees. A company getaway for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution, but that's another matter. She takes a sip. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built. With your help, hopefully, says a warm tone. What can you tell me about the strike? Everything? She smiles, right up to, but not including, trade secrets. Well, what if I want to hear about trade secrets? First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade and Elements that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. An octopus, I will slay it. Good luck. It's only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own. What the man means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. What is your role in this precisely? I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines, and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer. And how are the talks going? They are not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected. Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2.2 meter racist behemoth blocking the gates. Oh, you mean Measurehead? Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead. She leans back and rolls her eyes. Al Ghul. So the strike is connected to the lynching. Her eyes narrow. Yes, I believe there is a connection, but that's a subject for later. She's resolute in this, yet you sense that she wants to tell you. You'll have to earn her trust first. How were the talks going before the lynching? Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived. And when did you first arrive? I arrived 3 weeks ago. she thinks. Yes, in the middle of February. Wieso wird das eigentlich February ausgesprochen, wenn es eigentlich February geschrieben, ne? Englische Sprache und Aussprache ist manchmal doof. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM. He looks at his notes, but the strike began in December. I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit the wall with Mr. Clare and the union, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations. This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike. Heavens, no. There have been 2 prior strikes, both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. Ooh. This time, their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. What happened to this Gaumont? Mr. Clare told him to, how did he put it? She pauses to compose herself. Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Not cool. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union. What are their demands? There are leaflets everywhere and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker a member of the board. Seems like they have no idea about business. In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker a member of the board. Most of them probably don't know what that means. Fortunately, they explain it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. Workers can't be kings, the king is king. That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start. What are you going to do? I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up. Just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, the disastrous situation, if there ever was one. Yeah, excuse me. The lieutenant looks up from his notes. From whom did you hear about this lynching? Her reply comes quick. I first heard it from the boyar at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, call me mañana. This checks out. The scabs at the gate, did you put them there? The scabs? She raises her brow. You mean the huddled masses of jamrock come to plead for work where the union refuses to? Don't let her answer it herself. You're right, I don't know what got into me. Some of the degenerate dock worker lingo has rubbed off, it seems. Ha! She gives you a crooked smile. If the workers were organized by Wild Pines, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least. Tell me about this union boss, Mr. Clare. Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Really? Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, vicious goo where you and I have blood. If you were to prick him with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier. You sound like you're about to take a rapier to him. Oh heavens, no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin. She stops and smiles. Is it that bad? He's the most corrupt individual I have ever seen. And I deal with men like him for a living. If there's anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother Edgar. I remember hearing something about this Edgar. Have you seen him? No. Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of the workers' dues. What about the union itself, outside the brothers, Claire? The débardeurs union was once a perfectly normal institution, 20 years ago anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. She just organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... How do you say? She hesitates, looking for the right expression. A mob, the lieutenant says succinctly. The débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them. Refreshingly honest, officer. She nods. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. She turns to you. And your opinion, detective? If I may ask. I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. She explains. Would you say the débardeurs union is? A giant leech sucking the life out of Revachol. Indeed, a hungry one, she nods. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the leech always hungers. One more thing, you said something happened in the elections. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union. She disappeared. Disappeared? Yes, on the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story. This forewoman, her name? Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence. Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or a given name. And I don't have access to the union's files. Eerie. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him. Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine. That's all I need here. Let's change the topic. Ja, über das andere Zeug reden wir beim nächsten Mal. Oh, what? Shadows on water, green plants under the calm surface. Wow, you work hard. I do? Oh yes, you hustle, you're a provider, it's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. What hard work do I do exactly? Look at yourself, you're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic sand and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. I fucking ride till I die, bitch. That's just what it's like. Life and death. But you got gills on your side, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco-Negros and the Solars. It ain't easy, but you do it. Day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop and a sprinter and a money printer. Oh, and then there's pawning stuff off to that suspicious Roy guy. Yeah, you're in the sales business, shake him for shit and then pawn it off, law officer style. You could say I took some money from that Manana guy too. You didn't log that in as a donation either. You don't log any of that shit in. You're a straight rider. I guess I have made some guilds, sure. Sure, and has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now ask yourself, are you rich? No, I'm actually not. That's right, you work harder than anyone. You almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Hobo cop. It's because of that guard guy riding my ass. The guard man has set himself up one of those self-replicating money structures. You should learn from it. Don't play the victim. Think, hustler. Think with your head. The system is broken. Boo-hoo, the system is broken. The establishment is keeping me down. That's not the fucky attitude you're used to. What is this? Why are you so poor? I don't know. Why am I so poor? Because of the taxes. G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, and so much as sneeze. Really, every time I sneeze. Every time you wipe your ass. They got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony, one tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for that makes them ask for money from you here. Total tax duties add up to 98% of all your money. Are you sure that seems like a pretty big number? What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples? No fucking way, I guess I'm a free market fundamentalist now. Here you go, hustler. Fight the righteous fight. Free the people. Keep it real. Keep it street. Keep foaming at the mouth furiously on the tax issue. What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate political opinions somewhere in Martinez. This is because I keep saying none of the above to political stuff, isn't it? It's also about that. But it's also more. Perhaps it's the hangover, perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin, but something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience. First, where is this kingdom of conscience? It's not a place, it is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times. How do you bring about those circumstances? Incrementally. You'd get there faster with a little speed. Speaking of, when are you going to get on that, bub? History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progression is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment. But what about all the things that are wrong now? Tisk tisk. Just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What sang Freud? What a fucking joke. Wait, is the kingdom of conscience really about doing things that just preserving the status quo? Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed? Yeah. There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress. Okay, but what's the kingdom of conscience actually like? The kingdom is difficult to comprehend and even more difficult to describe. Partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. Sounds incredible. Alonzi, let's go there right now. Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow? Oh, right. Then let's get there. Eventually. That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner, Frau Shaw. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier. It's clear you like the hard stuff, brother. What? Sounds like my stomach is growling. Evening, fellas. The time has come to take the vows. Vows? The vows of blood and flesh. What is my lower intestine going on about? Lower intestine? The term is the metabolic and circulatory system. Okay, but what's the hard stuff? Will mir das Spiel gerade sagen, ich habe Hunger? Fascism, brother. What? What is fascism, though? Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Also, Who does your gut tell you is the source of Reverschol's problems? Financiers. Yes, them, but also women. Women? Men. Men of were. You don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Women need to go back to the fucking kitchen. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important, but the main thing is that women need to know their place. Am I having some kind of stomach seizure? Stomach truth. You're having a stomach truth. Why am I getting this? Because you've said the hard things that others won't say. The good things. You've said them many times. Okay, stomach, I've made up my mind about fascism. You're going to keep your vows, right? Keep your vows, brother. Absolutely not. I'm not going to be played by an upset stomach. There's a slow, painful growl somewhere in your intestines, knocking on your alcohol engorged liver. It is one of betrayal and disappointment. Okay. -2 Empathy. -2 Half-Light. Okay. Kann ich eigentlich nur die haben? Aber da gibt's so viele. Oh. Muss ich mir irgendwann mal die besten raussuchen. Wie viel haben wir noch? 1, 2, 3, 4. Was? Ja, okay. Was THC? Was? Okay. Okay. Ja. Nicht besonders viel passiert. Viel gelernt über die Geschichte und Geografie und Zeug. Ja. Beim nächsten Mal geht's dann wieder ein bisschen mehr Richtung Mordfall und keine Ahnung, das Aktuelle einfach.